What's up, everyone? It's the Armchair Reporter bringing you a new video about Credit Suisse. This institution, since the year 2000, has been fined over 50 times for a total of $11.4 billion. I went through, found 10 of these fines that I found interested, wanted to share with you, no order whatsoever. So let's start with number 10. I'm probably going to butcher his name, but Patrice Lescadron. He was a French banker who used to work for Credit Suisse in Geneva. He was known as the bank's man for Russia. So red flag already. Lescadron was convicted in Switzerland in 2018 after he was accused of fraud and forgery in at least 12 cases, including the oil billionaire and former Prime Minister of Georgia, Bidzina Ivanishvili. In addition to this, there was also a former Russian Senator, Vitaly Malkin. So what did he do? He falsified trades, racking up millions in losses. Total losses yet to be repaid, spanning investments in Bermuda, Singapore, and Switzerland, exceeded $800 million. Lescadron admitted to falsifying trades and hiding these losses, and as a result was sentenced to prison before ultimately committing suicide in 2020. Coming in at number 9, this one is very interesting, and it involves a lending project in Mozambique. So this is a Credit Suisse subsidiary. They defrauded U.S. and international investors through this lending project in Mozambique. They defrauded U.S. and international investors in financing of an $850 million loan for a tuna fishing project. They've been assessed more than $547 million in penalties, fines, and disgorgement as part of a coordinated resolution. Credit Suisse, through its employees and agents, conspired to and did defraud investors and potential investors in securities related to a state-owned entity. I'm gonna butcher this, Empresa Mozambicana de Atom SA. EMATOM for short. They made numerous material misrepresentations and omissions relating to, and among other things, 1, the use of these loan proceeds, 2, kickback payments to the bankers and bribes to Mozambican officials, and 3, the existence and maturity dates of debt owned by Mozambique, including another loan that Credit Suisse arranged to a Mozambique state-owned entity, Pro Indicus. Specifically, a contractor that supplied boats and equipment for this subsidiary received loan proceeds from Credit Suisse, paid kickbacks, approximately $50 million to the subsidiary bankers, and bribes totaling approximately $150 million to Mozambican government officials. Credit Suisse then retained 2 independent industry experts to conduct a market valuation of this tuna project, and Credit Suisse knew that the experts identified a shortfall of between $265 million and $394 million. Credit Suisse did not disclose this material information to investors. Aspects of this conduct was revealed in April 2016, causing the price of EMATOM securities to drop and resulting in losses to investors. Number 8, on October 24th, 2022, French prosecutors said that Credit Suisse has agreed to pay 238 million euros, that's approximately 234 million US dollars, to settle tax fraud allegations. This is going to be a recurring theme in a lot of these instances. So they ended up paying 123 million euros in fines and $115 million in damages and interest to France. This all originated from an inquiry launched in 2016 on possible charges of aggravated tax fraud laundering and illegal soliciting. Number 7, October 17th, 2022, Credit Suisse agreed to pay $495 million as part of a settlement with the US over a years-long dispute tied to mortgage-backed securities, which this was a very important factor in the 2008 financial crisis. The New Jersey Attorney General announced the settlement, had originally filed a lawsuit in 2013 alleging more than $3 billion in damages, citing the involvement of Credit Suisse. Now this one is a fun one. At number 6, Credit Suisse was fined for facilitating cocaine cash laundering. The Swiss court was fined more than $2 million for failing to prevent money laundering linked to a Bulgarian crime organization a decade and a half ago. The court also ordered the confiscation of about $12 million worth of deposits linked to the criminal group opened with Credit Suisse. Prosecutors said the unnamed former bank employee had helped to execute transactions for the organization between July 2007 and December of 2008, despite the presence of concrete indications as to the criminal origin of the funds. How about an inside guy like that? At number 5, this is one of the bigger settlements that Credit Suisse has had to pay. In 2014, the bank admitted to helping US taxpayers hide offshore accounts from the IRS. The Swiss lender paid $2.6 billion to settle these charges. This resulted in the highest ever payment and criminal tax case, as well as the indictment of 8 employees. This conspiracy dates back to 1953 and involves 2 generations of U.S. tax evaders, including U.S. customers who inherited these secret accounts at Credit Suisse. According to the indictment, after Credit Suisse decided to close these secret accounts, the defendants encouraged and assisted the customers to transfer their secret accounts to other banks in Switzerland and Hong Kong to continue hiding their assets from the IRS. I mean, talk about not learning your lesson. At number 4, the Hong Kong subsidiary of Credit Suisse agreed to pay $47 million criminal penalty for its role in a scheme to corruptly win banking business by awarding employment to friends and families of Chinese officials, which is in violation of the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. Between 2007 and 2013, several senior managers in the Asian Pacific region engaged in a practice to hire, promote, and retain candidates referred by or related to Chinese government officials and executives of Chinese state-owned entities. The employment of these relationships or referral hires was part of a quid pro quo with the officials who referred the candidates for employment, whereby the subsidiary bankers sought and obtained business from the referral sources. At number 3, this is another very large fine that they received. In January of 2017, Credit Suisse agrees to pay $5.28 billion in connection with its sale of residential mortgage-backed securities, something that we just talked about just a few scandals ago. The resolution announced Credit Suisse to pay $2.48 billion as a civil penalty under the Financial Institutions Reform, Recovery, and Enforcement Act. It also required the bank to provide $2.8 billion in other relief, including relief to underwater homeowners, distressed borrowers, and affected communities in the form of loan forgiveness and financing of affordable housing. Investors, including these federally insured financial institutions, suffered billions of dollars of losses from investing in these residential mortgage-backed securities that were issued and underwritten by Credit Suisse between 2005 and 2007. Now we're going to take a step back in time. We're going to hop in our time machine, go back to 1979 to Ernst Kermer. He was the former head of Credit Suisse branch in the southern Swiss city of Chiasso. He accepted full responsibility for one of the worst scandals in Swiss banking history, even to date. The 59-year-old faced up to 15 years imprisonment on criminal charges arising from the wrongful channeling of $1.2 billion from the bank's deposits into a Liechtenstein holding company and then into Italian investment. When the return from those investments dropped, the plan was uncovered. And just to put this into perspective, $1.2 billion adjusted for inflation, today, that would be close to about $5 billion, just a little bit under. This whole scandal came to light when the returns from the investments were insufficient to meet the interest payments due to the Italian investors. Now, at number 1, I think this is the greatest scandal of all time, and it is, most recently, their collapse. I'm sure as some of you have heard in the news recently, UBS has agreed to buy Credit Suisse for $3.2 billion. This offer represents just a fraction of Credit Suisse, roughly $8.5 billion in market capitalization. UBS says the acquisition will cost the equivalent 82 cents per share. That's less than half of Credit Suisse's $2.01 per share. And because of this, UBS is bringing back Sergio Ermotti. This was the CEO before 2020. He's going to help lead this transition, and it'll be very interesting to see how this acquisition goes and if Credit Suisse's legal problems will continue to linger and affect UBS as well. And as we know, UBS is not the bright star of the North. It is not the greatest institution either. There's a long list of fines and scandals that we can bring up with them as well. So there you go. This is just a short list of some of the many fines and legal issues of Credit Suisse. Just touched on a little bit of them. I hope you all enjoyed. Please like, subscribe, share with a friend, and comment below which one of these was your favorite. Until next time, peace.